Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 in our chats with Emily as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are in the Johnson edition and we turn now to poem 461, A Wife at Daybreak I Shall Be. Now, there's three different versions of this important poem, and in many ways this is one of the more confusing of Emily poems. I mean, first of all, to our knowledge, Emily never even was asked to be a wife and to be, devoted to someone in marriage, with the rare exception of maybe what happens at the very end of her life. But it's not really completely clear even then. There are some who speculate that maybe she did turn down a couple of marriage offers, but even that is of some debate. Now, when this poem was first published, it was published in the Atlantic Monthly of March 1929. It's another anticipation poem, or is it? We're going to wonder in that regards as well. Now, our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily, our playlist. We're hopeful that you've already read, worked through our preceding, introductory comments as well as the preceding poems. We've worked through the previous 460 poems. We just finished with 460. I know where wells dwell. Now, in this poem, we're going to have some powerful symbolism. The East is such a loaded symbol. It is a symbolic term for Emily, and we'll get into that. One scholar, Robert Weisbuch, has said the senseless quality of many poems that provide, it seems, not just concrete situations, but mental constructs. And in that regards, there's a certain kind of spiritual state, maybe, that's being discussed here. We'll read the poem and then try to exegete. She says it this way. A wife at daybreak I shall be. Sunrise, hast thou a flag for me? At midnight I am but a maid. How short it takes to make a bride. Then midnight I have passed from thee unto the east in victory. Midnight, good night. I hear them call, the angels bustle in the hall. Softly my future climbs the stair. I fumble at my childhood's prayer. So soon to be a child no more. Eternity, I'm coming, sir, Savior. I've seen the face before. Now, there isn't any question that her use of the word wife will take us back to poem 199. I'm hopeful that you can remember our study of that. Notice it's going to happen at daybreak, and then she says, I shall be. And immediately we wonder, is this anticipation? Are we excited that we're going to be a wife at daybreak? Or are we in fact not so excited that we are going to be a wife at daybreak? And then from daybreak to sunrise. Now, of course, all the symbolism here that takes us all the way back to our study of Homer's Odyssey, Iliad and Odyssey, will play a game. Hast thou a flag for me? Notice the word flag is a strange word because we're not completely sure what we mean by flag. Are we talking about the flag, the white flag of surrender, for example? Or a defiant flag? We're, of course, back to maybe Emily's most famous poem in 67, Success is Counted Sweetest by Those Who Never Succeed. Not one who took the purple flag, right? Of the purple those who took the flag today. Notice, at midnight, now midnight used 3 times, and midnight will be used already in poem 174 and 425. When we get to poem 721, we'll see midnight being played again in this way, as she says it. 721, she'll say at the very end of that poem, 'Tis miracle before me then, 'tis miracle behind between, a crescent in the sea with midnight to the north of her and midnight to the south of her and maelstrom in the sky. Midnight often is going to be equated then with the witching hour, we might have said in our study of Shakespeare, right? Then at midnight I am, she says, but a maid, right? Now, are we talking about virginity here? Is that what she's talking about? How short it takes to make a bride. Now, when we get to poem 817, we'll be back to this notion of the bride again. Then midnight I have passed from thee, or second use, unto the east and victory. Now, is this real marriage to a lover she's referencing, or is this somehow face-to-face maybe with deity in heaven? Of course, heaven is often referred to in Emily's poetry as the east. We'll see that when we get to poem 1573. We saw it already in poem 13. We'll see it again as well in poem 1033. And then she'll come back one more time to midnight. And then notice the dash, and then the good night with an exclamation point. And notice that's the only exclamation point with the exception of the very end of the poem, exclamation point after the word before. Good night. I hear them call, them who, and then she'll say it, the angels, which takes us back to poem 231. You'll remember it's hosts in 298. Bustle in the hall. What hall, we're not sure. Softly my, notice it's a capital F, future climbs the stair. Some has pointed out that maybe this is allusions to Jacob's ladder of Genesis 28. You'll remember that from your study of Genesis 28, 10 through 23. Softly my future climbs the stair, and then we're to I fumble at my childhood's prayer. And again, the rhythm of this poem is quite remarkable as well. You'll remember fumble from 208, from 212, as well as 3:15. You'll remember, just to go back to 3:15 for a second, he fumbles at your soul as players at the keys before they drop full music on. He stuns you by degrees. So here, notice she's fumbling, and she says, I fumble at my childhood's prayer. Are we referencing death here? When we get to poem 712, we'll come back to this idea. So soon to be a child no more. Notice we go from a maid to a bride to now a child no more. Eternity, I'm coming. By the way, originally this line read, the vision flutters in the door. Eternity, I'm coming, sir. Savior, originally it was master, which will take us to poem 462. The one that follows, a variant, was master. Savior, taking us back to poem 217. I've seen the face before. Is she talking about death? Is she talking about God or deity? Some have argued she's talking about her pal Sue. It isn't completely clear what she's speaking of here, but I think at 2:8 that we can make the observation that growth is sometimes difficult and exciting, both at the same time, whatever the growth is that she's gesturing towards. At 2b, one scholar has called this poem filled with a landscape of multivalent symbols, and I think you can hear that even in my attempt to try and exegete this poem with you. At 3a, 1072 will be a fascinating study for us when we get there. And we'll remind ourselves that we were actually here. Title divine is mine, the wife without the sign, acute degree conferred on me, Empress of Calvary. Royal, all but the crown, betrothed without the swoon. God sends us women when you hold garnet to garnet, gold to gold, born, bridled, shrouded in a day. Try victory. My husband, women say, stroking the melody. Is this the way? I think we'll have to come back to this poem to try and bring the two of those together. Finally, at 3b, what was a time when for you it was difficult and exciting at the same time to go through an experience of growth, whatever it is that Emily's referencing here as being the potential growth? Thank you. I hope Emily's challenging you.